and welcome back to another episode of the Semiconductor Leadership Podcast. And today's episode is a quick chip episode. I'm your host, Salah Nasri, and today we're turning the spotlight on one of the biggest names in the semiconductor industry, in the CPU and GPU world, and that's AMD, also known as Advanced Micro Devices. But before we dive into the good stuff, please do me a quick favor. Simply subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify, so you don't miss, of course, a single second of our bite-sized explanations into the chip giants who are shaping our digital world, and of course the one-to-one top-notch interviews with legends in the industry. So buckle up, because AMD's story is a wild ride filled with underdog grit, triumphant comebacks, and a touch of tech magic. So let's talk about the inception and early history. So what one needs to do, of course, is hop into the time machine, and we are going back to 1969. And 1969 was actually a year of moon landings, Woodstock, and the founding of AMD in Silicon Valley. So legend has it that Jerry Sanders and a group of ex-Fairchild semiconductor folks decided to strike out on their own. You can think of it like a rock band forming after a bunch of talented musicians left their old group, except instead of playing guitars, they were designing their own semiconductors, aka microchips. And from the start, what's quite interesting is AMD had a rebellious streak, ready to compete in a market dominated by the likes of Intel, and their initial products included logic chips and RAM, but AMD quickly set its sights on something much bigger, and that's the x86 processors. And if you've ever owned a PC that wasn't powered by Intel, there's a good chance it had an AMD processor under the hood, quietly doing all the heavy lifting while you were busy loading up your favorite cat videos, all right? But what one really needs to take into acknowledgement is the landmark achievements that AMD has accomplished. AMD's history has more plot twists than your average blockbuster movie. And, here are few of their greatest hits, as one would say. The first one I want to discuss about is the x86 license and 386 clone. In the 1980s, AMD secured a license to produce x86 processors, effectively giving Intel a run for its money with their own version of CPU designs. This rivalry still sparks debate in nerd circles worldwide, and friendly banter or pitch battles depending on who you ask. The other one is the second element is the AMD 64, which is the x86 64. This is one of AMD's biggest mic drop moments, which was inventing the 64-bit extension to the x86 architecture in the early 2000s. This standard powers practically every modern desktop and laptop today, whether you're rocking Windows, Linux, or something entirely different. You can thank AMD for giving your computer all that extra space to handle your 56 Chrome tabs at once. The third one is the Athlon era, and this was around the turn of the millennium. AMD's Athlon processors famously took the performance crown in certain benchmarks, leading many enthusiasts, myself included, to gloat to their Intel-loving friends. Yep, they were good times indeed. The fourth point is the GPU adventures, which was the ATI acquisition. And we can't forget that AMD bought ATI in 2006, diving headfirst into the graphics market. Today, their Radeon GPUs rival NVIDIA's best. So whether you're gaming at 4K or exploring VR, AMD can handle heavy lifting and sometimes with a bit more flair. So interesting facts that not many might not know, right? Is that, of course, now we've covered the big ticket items, but there are some interesting facts that actually might surprise you about AMD. So notoriously, they've always had this underdog reputation. And AMD has a history of being the smaller guy who constantly challenges the industry behemoths, as one would say. You can think of him as Rocky Balboa. So if Rocky was a microchip company, obviously, they've pretty much bobbed and weaved through ups and downs to stay in the fight. I think one other key point is the innovative culture that's in AMD. And for decades, AMD has driven industry standards like the AMD 64 architecture that basically forced everyone else, Intel, to adapt. They've also been big on open source collaborations, playing nicely in the Linux community sandbox. One thing that one needs to kind of give hats off to them is their epic code names. AMD loves dishing out code names for their projects that sound like they come straight out of a sci-fi novel, as one would say, such as like Zen, Ryzen, Threadripper, Navi, or Vega. If only we could get them to name one of their chips after us, right? That would be quite cool. What other thing we can take in consideration is also the focus on eco-friendliness. Over the last few years, AMD's been pushing for more power-efficient designs without sacrificing performance. So if you're concerned about your electric bill or your carbon footprint while fragging opponents online, AMD's pretty much got your back. Looking ahead, I believe that the future of AMD is definitely perceived as the underdog in the game, who are going to thrive significantly. As the semiconductor world barrels forward into the realms of high-performance computing, data centers, AI, and next-gen gaming, AMD is evidently raring to go. Ryzen CPUs or Radeon GPUs and the EPYC server processors are all major contenders in their respective segments. And with constant improvements to their Zen architecture, they're gunning for top performance. Whether it's energy efficiency as well and that ever-elusive price-to-performance sweet spot. One can definitely expect AMD to keep pushing boundaries with advanced node technologies or chiplet architectures and more. However, they're also collaborating with other industry giants to develop cutting-edge solutions for cloud services, HPC workloads, and immersive gaming experiences. So if you've been on the fence about building your dream PC, this might be the perfect time. Of course, you listen to the rest of this podcast, you might be scratching your head saying, of course, makes sense. So, other than that, there you have it, a crash course in AMD. I think to summarize this all is that you look at it from a scrappy 1960s startup in Silicon Valley to a CPU and GPU powerhouse. AMD continues to rewrite the tech playbook. And whether you're a gamer chasing high frame rates or a creative professional editing 8K videos, as a hint to my video team, or just someone who loves a good underdog story, AMD's journey is hard not to admire. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this quick chip episode of the Semiconductor Leadership Podcast on AMD. If you liked it, please remember to subscribe to the channel. I'm your host, Salah Nasri, and I'll catch you next time. Until then, stay curious, keep innovating, and maybe give your CPU a little pat on the heat sink. It works hard after all. But see you at the next episode. Bye for now.